Be me, Jane, 32, licensed therapist with my own practice in downtown Seattle. I'd spent 6 years building this thing from the ground up. Cozy office with those expensive minimalist chairs, plants everywhere, credentials framed on the wall where clients could see them during sessions. I specialized in relationships and what I called modern masculinity work. Basically, I helped women leave toxic situations and coached men through their, let's call it, emotional resistance. I was good at it. Really good. Monday morning, I opened my email and saw 3 cancellations from male clients, all within the same week. Tom. Hey Jane, I think I'm going to take a break from therapy for a while. Thanks for everything. Kevin. Pursuing other options for support? Best of luck. Brian. Just need to step back and focus on other priorities right now. I stared at the screen, annoyed. Classic avoidance behavior. They'd make progress, get close to a breakthrough, then bail. I'd seen it a dozen times. I had a session with another client, Alex, at 2 p.m. He'd been seeing me for 3 months after a breakup, doing okay, but lately he seemed checked out. He came in wearing gym clothes, looking healthier, lost weight, better color, but his energy was different, detached. How was your week? I asked. Fine. Good, actually. Want to elaborate? He shrugged. Just been busy. Work, gym, hanging with friends. And how are you feeling about everything we've been discussing? The vulnerability work? Yeah, about that. He shifted in his seat. What's your hourly rate again? I felt my jaw tighten. It's $180. Why? Just wondering. He looked at his phone. I've been thinking. I might wrap up soon. I feel pretty good. Alex, I think we're just scratching the surface here. Last month you talked about how hard it is to trust people after Sarah. I know what I said. His voice was flat. But honestly, I'm doing fine. Better than fine. I leaned forward, using my concerned therapist tone. It sounds like you're avoiding something deeper. That's normal, but maybe. He stood up. I'll think about it. Thanks, Jane. He left 8 minutes early. I sat there, irritated. 4 cancellations in 1 week. What were the odds? That evening, I came home to Mike sitting on the couch scrolling his phone. I'd picked up Thai food, his favorite place. He didn't look up. Hey, I said, setting the bag on the counter. I got your pad thai. Thanks. He didn't move. I sat next to him. You okay? You seem off. I'm fine. Mike, come on, talk to me. He finally looked at me, tired. Dark circles under his eyes I hadn't noticed before. I'm just tired. Long day. We can talk about it. That's what I'm here for. I know. He stood up, grabbed the food. I'm going to eat in the bedroom. Got some emails to catch up on. I watched him walk away, feeling something twist in my chest. He'd been distant for weeks now. Short responses, always tired, never wanted to go out anymore. I told myself it was work, stress. He ran a logistics company, always putting out fires, but a small part of me wondered if it was something else. I pushed the thought away. I was a therapist. I knew how relationships worked. This was just a phase. My brother James flew in from Portugal that Friday. I hadn't seen him in 2 years, not since his divorce. He had been a mess back then, barely functional. I'd tried to get him into therapy, but he said he just needed a change of scenery. When he walked into my parents' house for dinner, I barely recognized him. He was tan, fit, relaxed, wearing clothes that actually fit instead of the oversized hoodies he'd lived in during the divorce. He hugged Mom, shook Dad's hand, grinned at me. Jane, you look great. I hugged him, surprised by how solid he felt. You too. Really good, actually. Thanks. Portugal's been kind to me. At dinner, Mom couldn't help herself. So, James, are you seeing anyone over there? Your father and I were talking. You're not getting any younger. James laughed, cutting into his steak. Nope, no one. Mom's face fell. Really? Not even casually? Nope. He took a sip of wine. Honestly, I'm happy as is. Life's simpler this way. I felt the therapist in me activate. Simpler how? Just easier. I do what I want when I want. Travel on weekends, learning guitar, got a solid group of friends, sleep like a baby. But don't you get lonely? I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. Not really. He looked genuinely unbothered. I mean, I have people around. Guys from work, expat community, I call you guys. I'm not isolated. But it's not the same as a partner, I pressed. Someone to share your life with. James set down his fork, still smiling. I share my life with friends and family, and I don't have to compromise on everything or justify my choices every day. It's peaceful, Jane. I felt heat rise in my chest. Have you actually processed the divorce? Because avoiding intimacy isn't the same as healing. I'm not avoiding anything. His voice stayed calm, almost amused. I just realized I'm genuinely happier this way. That sounds like a defense mechanism. Or, he said, leaning back, it's just the truth. Dad chimed in. He does seem the happiest I've seen him in years, Janie. I looked at my father, betrayed. He's isolating? James laughed. Not meanly, just light. Like I'd told a joke he'd heard before. Sis, I love you, and I know you mean well, but I'm not broken. I'm just good. I wanted to argue, to walk him through the clinical signs of avoidant attachment, but Mom changed the subject and I felt dismissed, undermined. Like my expertise meant nothing at this table. The whole drive home I ranted to Mike about James wasting his life and running from real connection. Mike barely responded, just nodded occasionally, hands tight on the steering wheel. Are you even listening? I snapped. Yeah, I heard you. You don't seem engaged. Jane, I'm tired. Can we not do this tonight? This is exactly what I'm talking about. You avoid deeper connection. He pulled into our building's parking garage, turned off the car, and looked at me. Really looked at me for the first time in days. I'm not avoiding. I'm exhausted. There's a difference. Sounds like avoidance to me. He got out of the car without responding. That night he slept in the guest room, said he didn't want to disturb me with his alarm in the morning. I lay awake, thinking about James's face. How unbothered he had been. How light he seemed. Like a weight had been lifted that I couldn't see. It didn't make sense. Wednesday, I had a new client, Marcus, 26, referred by his girlfriend who thought he had commitment issues. He sat in my office, looking nervous, checking his phone like she might be tracking him. So Marcus, what brings you in? My girlfriend Becca thought it'd be good. She says I'm emotionally unavailable. I nodded, already seeing the pattern. And what do you think? I mean, he rubbed his neck. Maybe? I don't know. I just feel like nothing I do is enough. Perfect. Here was someone I could actually help. Someone still in the framework, still believing the problem was him. Over the next 50 minutes, I walked him through it all. Fear of intimacy, vulnerability, resistance, how men are socialized to suppress emotions. He nodded along, took notes on his phone, seemed receptive. This makes sense, he said. I never thought about it like that. I gave him homework, journal about his resistance to vulnerability, plan a meaningful gesture for Becca, read Daring Greatly. This is really helpful, Jane. Thank you. He booked 2 more sessions on his way out. I felt good, validated. See? I still had it. The guys who left were just resistant, but Marcus was willing to do the work. This is what progress looked like. That evening I came home energized, ready to reconnect with Mike. Hey, I said, sitting next to him on the couch. Want to do a check-in? I feel like we haven't really talked in a while. He looked at me, exhausted. Can we not do this tonight? This is exactly what I mean. You avoid deeper connection. I'm not avoiding, Jane. I'm tired of being analyzed. I'm not analyzing you. I'm trying to communicate. It doesn't feel like communication. It feels like a therapy session where I'm always the patient. I felt defensive. That's not fair. I'm trying to make sure we're okay. We're fine, he said, but his voice was flat. I'm just tired. We sat in silence for a minute. Then he sighed. You're right. I'm sorry. I've just been stressed with work. There it was. The apology, the acknowledgement. I softened. It's okay. I get it. He squeezed my hand and went to bed early. I sat on the couch, feeling like I'd won something. David came in Thursday afternoon for his final session. He'd been seeing me for 4 months post-breakup, working through the end of a 3-year relationship. When he walked in, he looked settled, calm, wearing a plain t-shirt and jeans, no wedding ring indent anymore on his left hand. So last session, I said, how are you feeling about everything? Good. Really good, actually. That's why I'm wrapping up. I'm in a solid place now. I smiled. That's great. Are you ready to start dating again? No, he said, sitting back. I mean, I'm good being single, like genuinely content. My smile tightened. Walk me through a typical week for me. Sure, I hit the gym 4 times a week, play basketball Tuesday nights, hang with my boys on Fridays, meal prep Sundays, been reading a lot, started hiking, did Mount C last weekend. And you don't feel lonely? Honestly? No, I feel light, like I can finally breathe. I leaned forward. David, that might be avoidance. Real intimacy requires... He held up a hand, polite but firm. Jane, I've done therapy before. I know the script. I'm not avoiding anything. He pulled out his phone, opened a budgeting app. The screen was full of neat categories, green numbers. Can I show you something? I nodded, uneasy. When I was with Emma, I was spending about $2,300 a month on relationship stuff, dates, trips. I helped with her car payment, gifts for her friends' weddings, you name it. Now, I spend maybe $800 on myself and I'm stacking the rest, he scrolled. I sleep 7 to 8 hours a night now. Used to get 5 because she needed to process her feelings until midnight. Every night. I've read 6 books this month. Hadn't read for fun in 2 years. My friends say I'm like my old self again. My buddy Jake said it's like getting his best friend back. I try to find an angle, but those are just logistics. What about emotional fulfillment? David looked at me, not unkind. Jane, I'm emotionally fulfilled. I have my friends, my family, my hobbies. I'm not sitting in a dark apartment eating ramen alone. Here's the thing, he continued. Being single now isn't what it was for my dad's generation. I'm not isolated. I've got group chats, my gaming buddies online, the basketball league, my boys from college. We do fantasy football, poker nights, camping trips. I'm more social now than I was in the relationship. I felt something cold in my stomach. And dating apps. He shook his head. I tried. Went on 8 dates in 2 months after the breakup. Every woman wanted me to be a therapist, an ATM, and a mind reader. For what? Mediocre company and someone who couldn't even pretend to be interested in my life? David. I'm not saying this to be cruel, he said, leaning forward slightly. I'm saying I genuinely weighed my options. Relationship versus single, and single won. By a lot. The math just makes sense now. I scrambled. You're just hurt right now. You're generalizing. The right person wouldn't... He stood up, calm. Jane, you're a good therapist for some people, but you can't accept that I'm happy. And that's your issue, not mine. He thanked me, wished me well, and left. I sat in my office, silent. The clock ticked on the wall. James's laugh at dinner, David's budget app, those green numbers, the pattern. That night, Mike came home late. I was already in bed, but I heard him in the kitchen, heard the fridge open and close. How was your day? I called out. Fine. His voice was distant. He came to the bedroom doorway, still in his work clothes. I'm going to sleep in the guest room. Early meeting tomorrow. Mike, I'm tired, Jane. Please. He closed the door. I stared at the ceiling, feeling something shift, like a foundation cracking beneath me. Friday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Jane Cooper. A woman's voice, professional. Yes? This is Rachel Martinez from the Seattle Therapist Review Board. We received a complaint I need to discuss with you. My stomach dropped. A complaint? From a Jennifer Hayes. She was referred to you 6 months ago for couples counseling with her husband. She's alleging that your therapeutic approach directly contributed to her divorce. I felt my face flush. What exactly is she saying? She claims you encouraged her to leave her husband without fully exploring reconciliation options, that you framed normal relationship challenges as toxic masculine behavior. Her exact words were that you had an agenda against men and pushed her to see problems that weren't there. That's not, my voice cracked. I follow evidence-based practices. I don't have an agenda. She's also claiming her ex-husband is now thriving post-divorce while she's struggling with loneliness and regret. She believes your guidance was negligent and ideologically motivated. I thought about Jennifer. Quiet woman, mid-30s, complained her husband didn't communicate enough. I'd spent 3 sessions exploring his emotional unavailability, his resistance to vulnerability work. She'd filed for divorce 2 months after our last session. This will require a formal review, Rachel continued. You'll receive documentation within the week. I wanted to give you a heads up. She hung up. I sat at my desk, hands shaking. A formal complaint against my license. My phone buzzed. Email from a former client, Ashley. Hi Jane, I've been thinking about our sessions a lot lately. I took your advice and left Tom like we discussed. But honestly, I think I made a mistake. He's doing really well now, got promoted, lost weight, seems genuinely happy. And I'm not. I don't think he was the problem. I think I was. Just wanted you to know. I stared at the screen. 2 women, both saying the same thing. Their exes were fine, better than fine, and they were the ones drowning. Friday night, Mike sat me down at the kitchen table. He'd set down 2 glasses of water, like this was a business meeting. I'm moving out. We're done. I genuinely thought I'd heard him wrong. What? I'm leaving. This isn't working. Mike, let's talk about this. We can work through... I've been working through this for 8 months. I'm done. He pulled out his phone, opened Venmo. The screen glowed between us. I've spent $8,400 on us in 6 months. You've covered maybe $900, and only when it was convenient. Every time I brought it up, you said I was keeping score or being transactional. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. You wanted me at your work events, your friends' parties, those networking dinners. I went to all of them. You came to one of my softball games and spent the whole time on your phone. That's not... I suggested camping. You said it was low effort. I planned that Napa trip, spent 3 hours researching hotels. You critiqued my choice the entire weekend. Said the sheets felt cheap. Mike? I'm not angry, Jane. I'm exhausted. I want to wake up on Saturday and play video games without a lecture about wasting time or avoiding responsibilities. I want to grab beers with my buddies without a debrief on emotional availability. He stood up. You tell your clients to communicate, to be vulnerable, but when I said I was overwhelmed, you told me I was avoidant. When I needed space, you said I was stonewalling. I felt David's words, James's calm, the complaint from Jennifer's ex-husband somewhere out there living his best life, all of it crashing into me at once. You used your degree as a weapon, Mike said quietly. Every disagreement became a session where I was the patient and you were always right. I talked to my buddy Greg. He left his ex last year, said the peace was unreal. And you know what? I believe him. I've seen him happier in 6 months than in the 3 years he was with her. He grabbed his bag from the hallway. I hadn't even noticed he'd packed it. I'm staying with Greg for a while. I'll get the rest of my stuff next week. Mike, please. He stopped at the door, looked back. His face wasn't angry, just tired. "I hope you figure it out, Jane. I really do." Then he was gone. I sat at the table for an hour, maybe two, not moving. The water glasses sat untouched between the empty chairs. The next few days blurred together. I cancelled clients, called in sick to my own practice. I sat on my couch, scrolling through my session notes, seeing the pattern I'd been ignoring for months. Male clients dropping off, similar language in their exit emails. Pursuing other paths. In a better place. Need to focus on myself. Female clients emailing regrets. Exes thriving. A formal complaint. I thought about David's spreadsheet. The $1,500 he was saving every month. The sleep. The books. The peace in his voice. I thought about James in Portugal. Tan and light and unbothered. No weight on his shoulders. I thought about Mike's face when he said he was exhausted. The dark circles I'd dismissed as work stress. And I realized, they're not broken. They're just opting out. And they're fine. Better than fine. I stared at my reflection in the black TV screen. Saw the woman I'd become. The one who always knew better. Who couldn't be wrong. Then the defensiveness kicked in. Automatic. Protective. No. They're just scared. Emotionally stunted. They'll regret it when they're 40 and alone, wondering why they wasted their best years. Mike will come crawling back when he realizes dating is hard. David will be miserable in a year. James will wake up one day and panic about not having a family. I caught my own expression. The bitterness, the fear underneath the rationalization. I was lying to myself. I knew it, but I couldn't stop. I opened my laptop, started typing a blog post. Why Men Struggle with Emotional Intimacy, a Clinical Perspective. I got 3 sentences in and deleted it. Opened my calendar. Saw Marcus's name, my one success story, the guy who was actually willing to grow. I held on to that. Some men can still do the work. I'm still good at this. Then my phone buzzed. Email from Marcus. "Hey Jane, thanks for everything, but I think I'm good. My girlfriend and I actually broke up. I realized I was trying to fix something that wasn't broken in the first place. Honestly, feel relieved. Already sleeping better. Take care." I stared at the screen until it went dark. Set the phone down. Sat in the silence of my empty apartment. Be me. 32. Licensed therapist. Helped dozens of people. Built a whole career on understanding relationships. And for the first time, I didn't have an answer. Worse, I had the answer. I just couldn't accept it. I pulled up my client list, scrolling through names. Dozens of women I'd helped leave toxic men. Men I'd coached to be more present. Couples I'd guided toward healthy communication. How many of those men were sitting somewhere right now, sleeping 8 hours, saving money, finally exhaling? How many had I convinced were broken when they were just tired? My phone sat on the coffee table, dark and silent. Mike wasn't going to call. Marcus wasn't coming back. David was probably at the gym, or reading, or laughing with friends who didn't psychoanalyze his every sentence. I could see it so clearly now, the pattern I'd built my career dismissing. Men opting out, not because they were damaged, but because the math finally made sense to them. Because being alone meant being enough, and being partnered meant being insufficient no matter what they did. I thought about my own words in sessions, the ones I'd repeated to dozens of women. You deserve someone who shows up. Had I shown up for Mike? Or had I just expected him to show up for me while I critiqued his performance, graded his effort like a teacher marking a test? The truth sat in my chest like a stone. I opened my browser, typed "men happier single statistics," then closed it. I didn't need statistics. I had 4 months of exit interviews sitting in my session notes. I had David's spreadsheet burned into my memory, those neat green numbers, proof of peace. I had James's face across the dinner table, genuinely content while I insisted he was broken. I had Mike's exhausted eyes. I had Jennifer's complaint and Ashley's regret email. My credentials stared at me from the wall, framed, expensive, proof that I knew what I was talking about. Except I didn't. Or worse, I did, and I'd been wrong anyway. I grabbed my phone, opened it to type something, anything, some post that would make this make sense, that would reframe it all back into my worldview where I was still right. But my hands were shaking. I set it back down. The apartment was so quiet I could hear the fridge humming in the kitchen, the muffled sound of my neighbour's TV through the wall. This is what they had now. This quiet, this peace. And I'd spent years telling them it wasn't enough, that they weren't enough. When really, I was the one who wasn't enough. Not for Mike, not for my male clients who saw through the framework, not even for myself. I sat there as the sun set through the window, painting the wall orange, then purple, then dark. Somewhere across town, Mike was having a beer with Greg, laughing, sleeping without being analysed. Somewhere, David was reading his 7th book of the month. Somewhere, James was watching the sunset over Lisbon, guitar in his lap. And somewhere, Marcus was realising the same thing, that the cost was too high, the return too low, and opting out wasn't failure. It was just math. I understood it now. I understood it completely. I just couldn't say it out loud. Not yet. Maybe not ever.